What's up? It's your boy Carcino here. Hope you guys have gotten some proper rest. I'm still a little fatigued myself. When you guys get up from the morning haul, I'm usually getting ready for bed. So, just the life, man, dedicated to the grind. Well, hope you got your coffee or your tea ready, and I don't know when this video will be ready, but hopefully when you're seeing it or witnessing it, you're ready for the story of a lifetime. And you'll be surprised you haven't heard anyone speak on it before. Now, this is the story of the man who Michael Jordan called one of the toughest son of a bees he's ever played against. And if some of you guys know him, you know him as the defensive master lock himself, Alvin Robinson. Alvin Robinson, the former Arkansas Razorback, backcourt, him and what was that? I don't wanna get it wrong. Both of them end up being Detroit Pistons too. Is Daryl something, but I forgot. But anyway, Alvin Robinson was the man. I mean, he was the man. And you talking about a guy who was Darryl Walker. That was the guy's name, Darryl Walker. Both ended up playing with the Pistons. But anyway, they were the backcourt in Arkansas. And they were incredible. They were shutting guys down defensively and doing things that people never even saw a guy do. Robinson is like 6'3", about 200 pounds, and just tough. Defensively, taking every assignment. And when you had a team that people saw his talent come into play, you saw Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler. I believe it was Drexler, if I'm not mistaken. Might not have been Drexler. But I know it was Barkley and a couple other guys out there that was on the dream team. And when you saw these guys, you knew right away that these guys could play. But Robinson was light years above anybody there. And Michael Jordan was there. And he was giving Jordan fits defensively. There was times where the Michael Jordan, couldn't even pass half court. He was known for making guards pick up their dribble. He was definitely a player to be reckoned with. Soft-spoken gentleman, never had any problems. Perfect for the Spurs. Spurs get him, and they got a player who's just incredible and just a perfect elite defender. And you're thinking to yourself, man, the way this guy plays the game, he plays like 100%. And when they played against North Carolina, and the way he played against Jordan, the way they played on the Olympic team, Bobby Knight was like, man, this kid is something else. So when the Spurs got him, they just assured to just ascend to the top. But he had great games. Of course, he put together a quadruple double in a game. 10 steals, 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. David Robinson, Nate Thurman, and Hakeem Olajuwon are the only other three to get the quadruple double. 10 steals in a game at the time where that was hard to do. He finished the season, I think, averaging like 3.7 steals in a season, which is an NBA record. He was the defensive player of the year. The first time, like the most improved player of the year, his second year in the league. And that they created the award because of him. They were like, we gotta, create an award for somebody that goes above and beyond. So he made the defensive player of the year and most improved player, made the All-Star game. Alvin Robinson was that guy. And he was never the one for, like talk and all that stuff. He was, not like Reggie. Reggie came in with all the mouth. Reggie Miller was talking crazy. And he's like, they were finna play the Spurs. And somebody told him, he said, look, I'm going to warn you right now. Do not trash talk Alvin Robinson. They was like, what? They said, don't say nothing about his mama. Don't boast. Probably don't even say hi to him. They was like, what? Man, I tell them, they was like, no, don't do it. And it was one of his teammates. And it was weird that happened because he was such a nice guy. He was like, oh, well, he could take it. And come to find out, things were not what they seemed about good old Alf. And Popovich had gotten there. They had Jack Burkowski. And they had a couple of other people there. And I think Popovich was just coming into the head coaching frame. Because they had went through 3 coaches there. They were just bad. Okay, they were just a bad team. So he was like, they had lost like over like about 260 some games in 5 years. They were a bad team, but he was thriving. So even though he was doing all these great performances, teams like the Lakers was winning the games and, they're losing, but he's competing every night. Every night. So he was a fan favorite in San Antonio. They used to be like, when the Spurs are going to do something to help out Alvin Robinson. And everybody thought, oh, he's going to go play with Michael Jordan in the Chicago Bulls. That wouldn't have fit. And he was like, that's not going to fit him. It might play the same position. Why would he go there? Why would the Bulls make a trade and bring over another guard? They end up dealing Woolrich out of there because of Michael Jordan. So there was no way that both of them could coexist. Now, this is what happened. And everything started to change. And Reggie Miller started to figure out why a teammate pulled him to the side and said, out of all the players, he has trash talk. No one has ever pulled him to the side and said, hey, don't say nothing about that guy. That was the only player. And he was the nicest person in the world. But Reggie said, you know what? They might know something I don't. Let me just go about my business. And no one had anything negative to say about him until something happened that was very weird to the team. In the Red Lion Hotel, the team was staying there. And Walter Berry, a street basketball player from New York who made it onto the team, and they've played on the playgrounds before, these two get into an argument. And it was crazy how both of them neither guy was backing down from the other. And it was weird because Frank Bukowski is in the middle. Frank is like, what in the world is going on here? So Frank Bukowski's like trying to break it up. And Walter's talking to Alvin, and they going, shut up, man. And they keep talking. And Alvin grabs him, and they start wrestling. Alvin Robinson was a wrestling champion, too, in college. He pinned Walters on the ground. The fight is really over. Then it was like, okay, let him up. Everybody broke it up. Then Walter took a shot. Pop! Hit Robinson in the eye. Robinson, it just goes off again. The fight gets broke up. So Alvin Robinson got a mouse under his eye. Everybody broke it up. And everybody thought it was over. So Frank's in his room. You know, he's going to go take a shower. And he hear all this crashing in the next room. He gets in the hallway. And it looked like the fight scene from Inception. They're fighting again. Going at it. And this time, Walter grabs a butter knife and he's chasing down Alvin Robinson down the hallway with a butter knife. And then Frank grabs him. It's like, Walter, what are you doing? You got a butter knife in your hand. Walter looks at it, throws it down, grabs a fork, and then goes to chasing Robinson down the street. I mean, down the hotel. He's going downstairs trying to chase Alvin Robinson. Crazy, crazy times. Now, this is in the 80s. Y'all, this is in the 80s. So, the situation gets resolved. Both guys apologize, and it was business as usual. Right? You would think this is the end of it, right? After a back-to-back game, Larry Brown is brought in as coach, and he's supposed to turn the Spurs around. Larry Brown is a play the right way type of guy, and he's not shy at confronting people and, and getting in people's faces. So in 1989, off a back-to-back game, Robinson was playing hurt. They end up playing the Chicago Bulls. And he played against Michael Jordan. Jordan had a good game, but Robinson, who he knew, was hurt in the game. He had his knee wrapped up and he still played. And they were sucking it up that year. And Robinson was blaming Larry Brown. Larry Brown was trying to get everybody to play the right way. And the play the right way wasn't going well with Robinson. And he was like, man, this coach here doesn't know what in the world he's doing. So him and Larry Brown didn't get along. Larry Brown wanted him gone. The Spurs is literally, they won like 21 games the entire season. So they got into a screaming match after one of the games where Robinson was loud trying to get his hands on Larry Brown. And he was good with people, but he had a line. And Brickhouse would come grab him and calm him down and keep him in line. So the Spurs agreed Alvin is a waiting time bomb and we got to get him out of here. And we're going to send his buddy with him just to keep him calm, Frank Bukowski. And they went to the Milwaukee Bucks. So everybody, the Spurs like to play that. Nothing happens in San Antonio. Everything happens everywhere else. Alvin had all his troubles outside of San Antonio, which is bullcrap. This stuff was going on in San Antonio. It started there. So they can forget all that nothing happened in San Antonio crap. They just put paint over everything and still leave the stuff behind. So Alvin Robinson just started to go into, it was the beginning of patterns for him, like angry outbursts. He was in the San Antonio, y'all, nightclub where he went after a guy with a crowbar. Alvin Robinson. And his wife said that, he had hit her. And San Antonio went to the courts for spousal support or spousal abuse and wanted him to go through therapy. And he was like, man, I was so stupid to be acting like that, going after this man with a crowbar coming out of a nightclub. We was involved in a fight. I went and got a crowbar and came back and tried to knock the guy out. So the Bucks end up getting him and was like, this guy is a time bomb. Let's get him over to the Detroit Pistons. Bad boys. So in 93, the Bad Boys are trying to get it together. They pick up Robinson, a veteran with defense. He can help the team out. Then one day, Shaquille O'Neal decided it would be a great idea if he was to punch Robinson. Oh, baby. That's a whole nother situation altogether. Robinson went after Shaq like a madman. That fight didn't end even in the locker room. Do you know that it took like 3-4 people to calm down Alvin Robinson in the locker room after Shaq hit him on the side of the head. That was the most dangerous moment for Shaq. Other teammates was telling him, man, you just messed up. You better hope this man calms down. Like, this dude is a time bomb. Like, you just didn't hit the wrong human being. So Alvin Robinson was battling back pains and was playing, and he was very limited out there on the court. So he was like, man, I got back injuries. And Billy McKinney, who is the personal director of Detroit, he didn't believe him. And he started, questioning, Robinson. Came and gave him a heart-to-heart, asking him about this back injury, and questioning his, injury and questioning him, period, like he's just dogging it. And man, did Robinson apply a choke on him. The executive director in Detroit got a chokehold put on him. It took 2 teammates to try to pry him off. He had a vice grip choke on his windpipe. Yeah. Then the next year, the lady's going to court saying that he groped her and he followed her in the car and did it again. And she said no, and he grabbed her by the neck. He bit her on the arm and everything else. He got 2 misdemeanors for that. And for 9 out of the first 11 years he was married to Jackie, his wife, he was dating a woman too named Sharon. And in 95, they said that he called her at 3 in the morning and she didn't want to talk. He came over in a rage, knocked her front door down, tore up 2 of her TVs, cut the sofa, and tried to start a fire. Then he took off. Then he came back and assaulted her in front of her daughter. Took some jewelry, watches, and money and all this stuff. The cops came. It took 2 police officers to try to bring him down and handcuff this guy. He was charged with burglary, resisting arrest, bodily injury, all of these different things. And 4 months later, out on bail, he's now a Toronto Raptor. They sent him to Toronto. And as soon as he gets to Toronto, before he can even suit up, he was arrested and charged with a common assault and spent the night in jail. At the Detroit school teacher said he attacked her in the Sky Dome Hotel. They tossed it out in court because she decided not to show up. And all of these things you've just heard, the NBA, the National Basketball Association, never punished him for any of these infractions. Matter of fact, he played just days after the Sky Dome thing. Played. And he's in the record books for scoring the very first basket in Toronto Raptors history. In the history of the Toronto Raptors, Alvin Robinson. That's right. So that's another one for the record books. The first man to score a basket for the Toronto Raptors was him. Not one suspension by the league. Never punished. Can you believe that? All of these things. Now, let's be fair. None of the professional sports in that time had, even colleges had like strict domestic violence policies and things of that nature. So, in the case with Sharon, when he tore up the couch and all that, he got probation for the third time in 4 years. This time for 10 years. And the girl Sharon didn't go to court, so Robinson, he avoided the assault charge. And said that his wife was tearful and spoke on his behalf in the jury and said he had dysfunctional circumstances. He's a good person who sometimes acts in a bad way. After all that stuff he had did with legal troubles, Coach Greg Popovich from the San Antonio Spurs quoted is saying Alvin is still a good player and tried to bring him back to the San Antonio Spurs. A 34-year-old who had some back problems and a lot of legal trouble, Greg Popovich from it never had nothing happens in San Antonio. The good guys, the Spurs. What a Spur is about, and class and dignity. And if anything happens, they just cover it up. That's what they try to do. So now you want to bring all this back to your team. Can you believe this, y'all? Can you believe this? All the things that this guy has done. And they know the league. They want to bring him back. David Robinson, who was tired of losing too, was really ticked off, was like, look, the last thing we need to do is bring in a problem. All you have to go on is people's actions. What he says is one thing, but it's what he does is another. So the Spurs, listened to David Robinson because David was like, no, we ain't bringing him in here. And it was a good thing they did because he was not ready or nowhere fit to play basketball. It took to 2002 before he went to jail again, when assault charges again were thrown his way. He served a year in jail. So from 2004 to 2011, he kept getting drunk driving, suspended license, parole violations, messing with a stripper, A lot of different mental issues were going on for him. He couldn't find work anymore. The NBA had basically washed their hands with Alvin Robinson. Then he gets caught up in a human trafficking scandal that rocked the majority of his life, where people were just like, oh my God, this is just ridiculous. And the man who Michael Jordan and the world was saying is one of the best basketball players in basketball history. You know, Larry Bird was like, this guy was just super strong, athletic. It was hard to get away from this guy. Alvin Robinson became a shell of himself. And was facing life in prison. And he somehow, he said he was innocent, and they found that he was innocent. And he's been trying to get his life back on track ever since. He's like, I just want to get my name cleared and get back in good standings with the Spurs. That's all he wants. Is redemption. He wants to say, hey, I'm not that guy no more. I've changed my life around. But the NBA just kind of wants him to like kind of fade away. And they want to move on and act like he never existed. Because it shames them. Because they let a lot of things go that shouldn't have went. And this was a guy that clearly needed help. Clearly. So if you like everything you heard or love the story, and hopefully it was informative to you and giving you some basketball, fall back on, we appreciate it. If you would like to support the page, you can click the link in the description box or hit me up on the Cash App. The name is Carceno on the Cash App, Karceno. And once again, thank you for your time.